My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramer. Ultimately, my friends, I'm just trying to make you a little money. My job is not just to explain, but to entertain and teach. So call me 1-800-743-CNBC. Tweet me at Jim Cramer. Not long ago, we were constantly told that this AI stuff, pure hype. According to conventional wisdom, there was no way it could ever live up to expectations. But after speaking to Mark Benioff, the CEO of tech giant Salesforce last night, you know what? I'm beginning to think that not only are there no hollow promises being made here, but the fruits of the oft-bandied about terms like generative AI, accelerated computing, could be far sweeter than anyone thought possible. That's right. I believe that the reality behind the buzzwords may actually exceed expectations, perhaps even dramatically. And that's the reason why Salesforce rallied 11% today. It deserved to. Today's action was all about Salesforce and some others in its wake, with the Dow gaining 309 points. A lot of it because of the gain in the stock of Salesforce, member of that elite group of companies. The S&P advancing 0.51%, and of course the Nasdaq pole voting 1.30%.
House of pleasure.
I try not to go into too much depth about the power of AI because I'm sure you're sick of hearing about it. But now I'm thinking maybe I don't talk enough about it at all. There's just too much money being made. And I don't want to downplay that because you know what? Anything that makes you money will count me all in. Here's the quick history. First, NVIDIA provided the platform, the hardware and software for all good things to occur. They changed the world with a two-pronged assault on the status quo. Accelerated computing, really fast, and generative AI. We just didn't know it at the time. For 5 years now, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang has been telling us that as fast as chips could upend everything, change the world, change it for the better. And more importantly, his full stack would reduce the cost of ownership and give customers a massive rate of return. But until recently, we had no idea how that would actually work. Tangibility, we had no tangible evidence. Then, exactly 2 years ago, we saw the power of this platform with OpenAI's ChatGPT. Until then, NVIDIA had been looked down upon by clueless tech snobs as a maker of video game chips. Intel was king. NVIDIA originally was pawn. With some industrial wins, NVIDIA had become maybe, I don't know, knight bishop. But practically overnight, because of generative AI and accelerated computing, NVIDIA had become crowned king. Intel's not even on the board anymore. Even then, it was hard to explain the value proposition to you, though, because what does generative AI even do? It felt like kind of a parlor game. Oh, write a haiku. Show me what it looked like for Jim Cramer to interview Gandhi on Mad Money. Draw Cezanne, yada, yada, yada. Lots of fun, but nothing really commercial. Nothing to make money from. Now, Jensen proselytized everywhere about a new industrial revolution, but none of this stuff seemed life-changing for all but a few in the know, the tech cognoscenti. Oh, sure, we were aware that there were gigantic cloud infrastructure businesses, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. We knew that Tesla was ordering everything NVIDIA made, or at least tried to, but never got enough, and so were Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta. They were packing NVIDIA's chips into these data centers all over the world, but who knew what a data center was? Sure, Tesla needed the chips for driverless cars. Microsoft needed them for ChatGPT, Copilot. Google for Gemini, Meta for Meta AI. Startups like Anthropic. They got $7 billion from investors, including Amazon and Google, to create something called Claude. Not like Claude Rains, but like Claude. But again, we just couldn't figure out how the heck they were going to get a return on their investment. To help call centers, we get bigger. Call centers. To help law firms, I don't know, law firm that uses it. Loan officers, really? Maybe to summarize things, Bruce wrote documents, mundane. And of course, to write term papers for college kids whose parents spend $80,000 a year so they can become ChatGPT proficient. Sure, the tech titans had the money to spend, but it started to feel like AI was some sort of multi-billion-dollar joke that none of us were in on. I mean, why did Oracle founder Larry Ellison say 3 months ago, quote, we have 162 data centers now. I expect we'll have 1,000 or 2,000 or more Oracle data cloud centers around the world. For who? For what? Nobody could articulate one practical idea that seemed to make economic sense, save the digital twin, a way to build factories with less waste by constructing a digital AI-inspired prototype. Might as well be some Revell model building kit. Remember those? At this point, some of the smartest people I know started saying, a lot of the hedge fund guys, started saying, you know what, that I, Jim Cramer, had drunk the AI Kool-Aid for believing that there was anything big here other than a phony arms race. I stuck to my guns. Although other than ServiceNow, which was using NVIDIA's platform to make workers more productive, people just didn't see it. And then last night, Gloriously, we got the confirmation I've been waiting for when Salesforce reported. Back in September at that celebration of all things tech, Dreamforce, CEO Mark Benioff told us that his company created something called Agentforce that could collaborate with humans to improve customer relations and many more things. It was the first time we had heard about the customer in relation to AI, though. It's always been internal, hidden, unknown, like agentic, some made-up word that nobody could explain. Until now. Last night, Benioff put on a clinic. He explained that there's a new concept. It's called digital labor. It's a whole new workforce, one that works side by side with harried, beleaguered employees who want to be more productive, but they can't be because they have to do too many jobs in a world where hiring extra people just has become way too expensive. Suddenly, though, we have Agentforce, and with it, Mark said, and I quote, "We're unleashing this new era of digital labor force for every business and every industry." He went on to say, quote, "The implications are just simply profound." Now, people ridicule me for saying how much we need AI, but Mark says, quote, "For decades, economic growth depended on expanding the human workforce. It was all about getting more labor," end quote. Not anymore. Not with agents powered by AI who have your data and can work faster doing tedious things, but essential jobs that nobody wants. And there it is. You know that Mark got 200 deals in the first week of Agentforce alone? Lots of brand name companies, too. Do you know there are thousands more in the pipeline? Real customers, real money. Tangible. That's an insane amount of business to do and an arbiter of great things to come. There's a widespread consensus that AI is simply about replacing people. Well, that is just completely wrong. Jensen never said he was going to have that happen. He said it was a force multiplier, but not a lot of people believed him. He said it would create more jobs. I really thought people would say, "Oh, give me a break." Creating jobs that couldn't be afforded before. Making people more productive. Allowing them to do more business, helping customers in deeper ways. That's what this is about. As Mark put it, quote, "Jobs are going to evolve, roles are going to shift, and businesses will need to adapt," end quote. You know what he left out? 2 words, or die. Sure, it's going to be expensive up front. We know that demand for data centers, computing power is actually accelerating. That was the lesson last night from Marvell Tech, their conference call. Wow, we heard that one, and they partner with everyone, including AI, to make AI chips, including Meta, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. After those 2 big quarters last night, all I can say is these tech titans aren't overbuilding in some misguided arms race. They're simply trying to keep up with demand, both current and perceived. They'll need every NVIDIA full stack they can get their hands on. If none of that makes any sense to you, just look at all the stocks. Salesforce stock finished up 11%. Marvell jumped 23%. Now, there will always be skeptics, but we now have that crucial use case that we've been waiting for, agentics. They're only taking away the jobs we don't want, that we can't fill, giving us more time to do what we're actually good at. With lower birth rates, with fewer people in the workforce, maybe we have no choice but to bring in Salesforce, to plug into the data center, to discover what Jensen's been predicting all along. Now we have the digital labor force. There's your revolutionaries. Here's the bottom line. When this new industrial revolution takes off, you won't want to speak to a human. They don't have the time to talk to you. I say give me the Agent force. Bring on the agentics. And thank heavens for the digital labor force so that we can do real stuff, not the tedious tasks that we've been made to do every day because somebody's got to do it. Not anymore. Now a machine can do it. And incredibly, it does it better than we can. Jeff in Florida. Jeff.
Hi, Jim. Love your show. My wife and I watch it every evening, and we particularly enjoy it because the start of it coincides with the start of cocktail hour around here.
Wow.
But
hey, G&T. Oh, no, it's actually the winner. I think I have to do a Macallan 12 or Phosphoro, my voice mezcal. Go ahead.
The stock I was calling about was Danaher. I've owned it in the past. Seems to be a solid company, good management, meets projections, and has a dividend. But the last 60 days, it's been taking a precipitous drop, and I'm wondering if this would be a good entry point or if there's something going on that I should be
Jeff, there's nothing going on other than good things. We own it for the Travel Trust. Let me tell you, they dropped the hammer when they said the China business hasn't come back. Enough with the China business. There's not going to be any stimulus for healthcare until we see what Trump does. So what I'm saying is buy Danaher now. This is the cheapest I've seen Danaher in my lifetime. Pull the trigger. All right, listen to me. AI is giving us some real examples of how it will create a new industrial revolution. I think it couldn't come soon enough. Remember these terms: agentics, digital labor force. Get used to them. Mad Money tonight. I'm hearing what drove Cracker Barrel's top and bottom line beat this quarter when I sit down with the CEO. Then Campbell CEO Mark Klaus announced he was retiring to make the move over to the Washington Commanders. I'm recapping some of the incredible work he did while at the helm of the soup kingpin and hearing what's on the horizon for this great man who's also a vet. And Okta jumped higher in today's tape. I'm learning more about what Wall Street liked in the quarter with the company's top brass, so stay with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on X. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadMentions. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.